Hey everyone, I am Anam and in this video I will discuss about the structure and function of human heart. Let's talk about the structure of human heart. Basically human heart have four chambers. Two upper chambers, two lower chambers. Two upper chambers are called atria, singular atria, and two lower chambers are called ventricles. This is the right side of human heart and this is the left side of human heart. As this is the right side of human heart, it is called right atrium, right ventricle. As this is the left side, so it is called left atrium and left ventricle. Two upper chambers, atrium, two lower chambers, ventricle. Right side, left side. Right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. Right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. Now let's talk about the four valves which are present in the human heart. First valve is present between right atrium and right ventricle, and the name of the valve is tricuspid valve. Tri means three. It has three flaps, cusps or leaflets. That is why it is called tricuspid valve. Another name of tricuspid valve is right atrioventricular valve. Right, it is on the right side. It is between the atrium and ventricle. Atrioventricular valve. Right atrioventricular valve. Let's talk about another valve that is present between the left atrium and left ventricle, and the name of the valve is bicuspid valve. Bi means two. It has two flaps, two cusps or two leaflets. That is why it is called bicuspid valve. Another name of bicuspid valve is mitral valve. These are the two valves between the right atrium and right ventricle is called the tricuspid valve. Between the left atrium and left ventricle is called the bicuspid valve. The remaining two valves are present in the heart, and first valve is present in the pulmonary trunk. This is the pulmonary trunk. At the base of pulmonary trunk a valve is present, and the name of the valve is pulmonary semilunar valve. As it is present at the base of pulmonary trunk, it is called pulmonary semilunar valve. Pulmonary semilunar valve. Another valve which is present at the base of aorta. This is aorta, and at the base of aorta another valve is present. The name of the valve is aortic semilunar valve. At the base of aorta, aortic. At the base of pulmonary trunk, pulmonary. Four valves. Between right atrium, right ventricle is called tricuspid valve. Between left atrium and left ventricle is called bicuspid valve. Tricuspid valve, bicuspid valve. At the base of pulmonary trunk, pulmonary semilunar valve. At the base of aorta, aortic semilunar valve. These are the four valves. Let's talk about the function of human heart. As you know, human heart act as a double pump. Double pump means the human heart receive oxygenated and deoxygenated blood at the same time. Means the deoxygenated blood from the body just move towards the human heart on the right side, and from the right side the deoxygenated blood goes towards the lungs, and from the lungs the oxygenated blood just came into the left side, and from the left side it goes towards the body again. Let's talk about the function of the human heart. The human heart receives deoxygenated blood from the body. The deoxygenated blood from the body moves towards the right atrium. The right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from the body through the two main veins, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. From the upper parts of the body, superior vena cava, and from the lower parts of the body, inferior vena cava. Again, the deoxygenated blood from the body moves towards the right atrium, or we can say right atrium receive deoxygenated blood from the body through two main veins, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. And when right atrium contracts, the blood moves towards the right ventricle. And you know very well there is a valve which is present between right atrium and right ventricle. The name of the valve is tricuspid valve. Let's talk about the function of tricuspid valve. The blood is moving from right atrium towards the right ventricle, and the function of this valve is to prevent the backflow of blood from this part to this, means from a right ventricle towards the right atrium. Okay, now when the right ventricle contracts, the blood moves towards the pulmonary trunk. Another valve you know very well at the base of pulmonary trunk is called pulmonary semilunar valve. And the function of pulmonary semilunar valve is to prevent the backflow of blood from pulmonary trunk towards the right ventricle. The blood is moving from right ventricle towards the pulmonary trunk, and this valve prevents the backflow from pulmonary trunk towards the right ventricle. Now, the blood from the pulmonary trunk through pulmonary arteries moves towards the lungs, and in the lungs the gaseous exchange takes place and deoxygenated blood is converted into oxygenated blood, and that oxygenated blood from the lungs through pulmonary veins reach or just came into the left side of the human heart, left upper chamber, receives oxygenated blood from the lungs through pulmonary veins. From pulmonary trunk, blood goes through pulmonary trunk, pulmonary artery towards the lungs. Gaseous exchange takes place. Deoxygenated blood is converted into oxygenated blood, and from the lungs, the blood goes to the left atrium through pulmonary veins. Now, when left atrium contracts, the blood moves from left atrium towards the left ventricle. And you know, there is a valve between left atrium and left ventricle, and the name of the valve is bicuspid valve. Let's talk about the function of bicuspid valve. The blood is moving from left atrium towards the left ventricle, and the function of the bicuspid valve is to prevent the backflow of blood from left ventricle towards the left atrium. Always keep this in your mind. The function of the valve is prevent the backflow of blood. Okay, now let's talk about the next step. From the left ventricle, when the left ventricle contract, the oxygenated blood goes towards the aorta. At the base of aorta, aortic semilunar valve is present. The function of aortic semilunar valve is to prevent the backflow of blood from aorta towards the left ventricle. And from the aorta, the oxygenated blood is supplied or transferred towards the body. This is the function of human heart. As the deoxygenated, as it talks about the function of the human heart, let's summarize the function. The deoxygenated blood through the two main veins moves towards the right atrium. Deoxygenated blood towards the right atrium, from right atrium right ventricle, from right ventricle pulmonary trunk, from pulmonary trunk through pulmonary arteries towards the lungs, from lungs towards the vein, through the veins towards the left atrium, from left atrium left ventricle towards the aorta, and from aorta towards the body, right atrium, right ventricle, pulmonary trunk, lungs, left atrium, left ventricle, aorta, and towards the body. It's all about the function of human heart.